Let's move on to another SAC contest, which is a new rivalry, I guess you could say. Homestead battling Concordia, traveling over to Zollner Stadium to take on the Cadets, or Cadets, depending upon your pronunciation, which is a whole other issue. We could do a whole show on that. But Homestead getting their first taste of the SAC. I think Concordia, we talked about it last week, is one of those teams that at the end of the year, they may not have a great record, but they're a tough team, especially being a 3A team in the SAC. How do you see this one playing out?
This is a question mark for me. You know, it's two teams that could go either way. You know, we've talked about Concordia, just how much they're bringing back offensively. You look at Homestead, got a new quarterback, obviously a good wide receiver core, but who's getting them the football? And how's that defense look? So really an up-in-the-air kind of game for me, because I really could go either way and pick either team, but I really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, and talking with the Homestead coaching staff after the scrimmage against Snyder, both guys did good things. However, they hadn't settled on a quarterback at that point. They were hoping that last Friday's scrimmage would really help them come to a decision.
Yeah.
And they were like, we really didn't.
It's tough because they have so many similarities. They're not, you know,
Right.
One's not like a pocket guy and the other guy's outside the pocket guy. They're very similar attributes between the two.
If you are Homestead and you're taking a look at some of the Jackson brothers on the offensive and defensive line, I mean, that's physical SAC style football. Those guys are like 340.
Yeah.
So they're going to get hit in the mouth to a certain degree on the line. Is that physicality a big concern?
I don't know. It's really tough. I think Jackson boys are impressive, but going both ways, how are they going to be able to play third, fourth quarter? So they can be difference makers on both sides of the ball, but is their stamina to the point where they can play 70, 80 snaps? So this is another game I think is going to be a shootout. I really think team that gets to 30 first may win this thing, and maybe even 40. You know, all these coaches have said, we've mentioned it throughout the last couple of weeks about shootouts, and we've talked to the coaches, well, I don't want to be in games with shootouts, but I think a fair amount of games, especially in that upper echelon of the SAC, are going to be big-time shootouts this year.
And we talked about Austin Mack, teams trying to take away him when you play lures. Ben Skronik, 6'4". I think he's more athletic and speedier than people really give him credit for. How do you go about stopping him if you're Concordia, if you're a number of teams that are going to be trying to stop? You know, he's a Big Ten recruit. He's a Big Ten wide receiver.
It's tough because you got Skronik there, but you got Austin Kreider. I mean, those guys, that's probably the best wide receiver core in the SAC, in my opinion, other than Snyder's. So how do you combat that? I think obviously you're going to have to account for Skronik, but you can't lose those other guys. With Homestead, a lot of timing routes, a lot of crossing routes, so they'll take 7, 8 yards on a pass all day long. So they're not really going to go for the home run as much as maybe you'll see Snyder and Lures. They're just going to dink and dunk and pick you apart.